So the trailer for the Spider-Man No Way Home has finally dropped and it pleased a lot of fans actually. And I know it seems common sense, everybody and their grandma was asking for it, but I genuinely thought that people would be pissed off about it. I don't know why, I guess that's the internet for you guys. But since the trailer confirmed the return of Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and we still haven't seen Jamie Foxx to return as Electro in the trailers yet, but everybody knows that he'll be in the movie, right? So what does this mean exactly? Should we be worried about having too many characters jam into one film? I mean, we're not just talking about villains. We know that Andrew and Toby are returning, so is having too many characters something that we should be really concerned about? Spider-Man 3 did this with just the villains, and we all know how that one turned out, so it's just a major complaint about Spider-Man 3 that it feels messy, convoluted, and its plot and villains just have no proper flow within themselves. So is that something that could possibly happen? Well, possibly yes, and some people do believe that as well. Spider-Man 3 with 3 villains didn't do so hot. Amazing Spider-Man 2 with 3 villains didn't do so hot either. And now Spider-Man No Way Home with 6 villains, you kind of see where I'm getting at here. And who could forget the return of Toby and Andrew? If the film is well executed, which I have really high hopes for, then this could spawn an array of future MCU films where having too much is not really a bad thing. It can be a good thing. Time will tell though. The only way I can see this actually working and turn out into an absolute gem of a movie is if the characters really have a place where it really makes sense in the plot. Remember how in Spider-Man 3 Venom seemed like he was just jammed in there for the sake of just being there? Having Uncle Ben's killer changed just so Sandman could also be introduced? You see, that's the type of stuff that we don't want in No Way Home. And I guess anybody can agree with that. Having the multiverse introduced gives it multiple opportunities to have these characters come from unique points in their storyline to interact with Spider-Man, and not just their Spider-Mans, but I guess with Tom Holland's Spider-Man 2. I guess that would be a unique take on it, you know? I don't see this movie being an absolute failure, because when it comes to MCU Spider-Man, it seems like they know what they're doing. Taking it from a box office perspective, this movie is gonna break records, maybe even surpassing Infinity War and Endgame, or maybe I'm just delusional, but you sort of get what I mean. But when it comes to actually building and telling a cohesive story about Spider-Man and Spider-Men helping each other fight their own enemies, then one could see how it can affect the film story-wise. Crossing my fingers that that won't happen. You know what could actually work for this particular movie? Is that if they break the movie into 2 parts. Having No Way Home end in a cliffhanger and then making part 2 the actual conclusion. Don't know how I didn't think of this one before, but it's totally a possibility, and I hope they really do this. Please, Marvel, we beg you to do this. Please do this. This will actually make the movie super awesome if you just break it into 2 parts instead of having this one jumbled mess of a movie. Have the enemies come back from where they really left off. Don't add unnecessary moments where it ruins the film. Please don't add other characters like Gwen Stacy. Don't throw in Venom at the last second just because. Seriously, do not bring Venom, okay? We don't need him right now. Keep him in the Sonyverse. We don't need him in the MCU. I have faith. We have faith in Marvel Studios. They will do it right. They've been doing it right when it comes to Spider-Man. Not perfect, but just enough. So please, Sony, don't come sweeping in like you usually do and ruin things for us, because you have a tendency of doing that. Just stay in your own lane. But just like having the multiverse be a good thing, it could also be a bad thing. I'm also skeptical about having the storyline not focus on our MCU Peter as much as we should, and instead focus on other characters. This might not even feel like a Spider-Man movie, but rather just another multiverse movie. But maybe it'll be like Into the Spider-Verse where it actually worked. I'm just terrified that it's gonna take us away from our Peter and not feel like a proper Spider-Man story, that's all. Would have loved to see how Peter and MJ's relationship could have been explored a little bit better, because they just started dating, and to just have this taken all away just makes it kind of sloppy. It also would have been awesome to see Scorpion be the main focus, because ever since he was introduced in Homecoming, it just felt like he was just discarded away and forgotten about entirely. But don't get me wrong, seeing these beloved villains from past movies does have me super excited. I really can't wait to have so much fun in the theater. But listen you guys, just maybe this could have waited for a later entry, because right now it only feels like it was just made since the multiverse has already been introduced in Loki. Like I said, the only way I see this actually working is if they get the movie and they break it off into 2 parts. Second part being the conclusion, obviously. By the way, what did happen to Shocker? I mean, it would have been cool to see him again next to Scorpion, but I guess this direction works better. I'm no expert, but would have been cool to see the classic villains that we've never seen before, you know? Yeah, I know, we saw him in Homecoming, but I mean, could have been awesome to see more of him. But anyway, I think that's enough of me ranting about that. I just want this movie to be really good. I don't want to be disappointed, because I'm an absolute Spider-Man fan, and I just can't wait to see more of him. Well, that is if he's not ruined by another Sony deal or whatever. So what would I like to see in the new Spider-Man No Way Home movie? Have the characters be well fleshed out. If a cameo needs to happen, then have it happen. I don't think that would take away from the film too much. Cameos are acceptable, but don't have a character get squeezed in the bunch because you might think fans really want it, when in reality, we just want a fleshed out story, a fleshed out plot. Please, just really quick, I just wanted to point out that this is not Daredevil. This is just the guy without his jacket. And by the guy, I mean the police officer or the detective or whoever is interviewing Spider-Man, Peter Parker. That's not Daredevil. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I just don't think that's Daredevil. It's just the guy took off his jacket, and yeah, a lot of people just like to assume stuff when I don't think that's the case. Could be wrong though. Anyways, just like in the very first Spider-Man films, please give us an intense moment in the film. Give us an instance where we might feel like someone is in absolute danger. We needed that in one of the MCU Spider-Man movies. That's something that was really missing from every other Spider-Man movie. Bring us that feeling back again. Raise the stake a little bit, Marvel Studios. We can count on you. Have the length time of the movie be longer than usual. I think that would give it a chance to have things flow smoothly. No unnecessary useless garbage. Just wonderful moments between the characters and awesome action sequences that we haven't seen before. Give us that. But that's only if they don't make the second part, which I really think that they are gonna do, because if they don't, they're kind of wasting a beautiful opportunity to do so. But yeah, I think if the movie does those things I mentioned, then it can end up being in tip-top shape. But anyways, that's the end of the video. Please leave a comment if you agree or disagree with all the points that I mentioned in the video. Also, if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like. See you guys on the next one, and bye.